The British Empire once ruled over a quarter of the world, stretching from Canada to India, Australia to Africa. But no empire lasts forever. So who or what really defeated it? At its peak in the 19th and early 20th centuries, the British Empire was the largest in history. It controlled vital trade routes, vast resources, and millions of people. The empire's military and economic power made Britain a dominant global force, influencing world politics, culture, and economies. But despite its immense strength, the empire was not invincible. Over time, wars, rising superpowers, economic decline, and powerful independence movements all played a role in its fall. The British Empire wasn't defeated by a single empire. It was brought down by a combination of global forces. In this video, we'll explore the key moments and powers that led to its decline. For centuries, Britain expanded its empire through military conquests and economic dominance. But its first major defeat came at the hands of its own colonies, the 13 American colonies. In the mid-18th century, tensions between Britain and its American territories escalated. The British government imposed heavy taxes, such as the Stamp Act, 1765, and the Tea Act, 1773, to recover financial losses from the 7 Years' War, 1756 to 1763. The colonists, feeling exploited, rebelled, leading to the American Revolution, 1775 to 1783. Britain, despite having a powerful military, faced unexpected challenges. The American colonies were vast and difficult to control, and the French and Spanish provided crucial support to the revolutionaries. The decisive defeat at Yorktown, 1781, sealed Britain's loss, and in 1783, the Treaty of Paris recognized the United States as an independent nation. Though Britain remained a dominant empire, losing the 13 colonies was a significant blow. It showed that the empire was not invincible and set the stage for future independence movements. While Britain remained a global power into the 20th century, two new superpowers emerged, the United States and the Soviet Union, that would eventually overshadow the British Empire. After gaining independence, the United States rapidly expanded its influence. By the 20th century, it had become an economic powerhouse, industrializing at an unprecedented rate. World War I, 1914 to 1918, left European powers, including Britain, in debt, while the U.S. emerged stronger. However, the biggest shift came during and after World War II, 1939 to 1945. Britain, heavily reliant on American financial aid through the Lend-Lease Act, 1941, became economically dependent on the U.S. Meanwhile, America's atomic bomb, military strength, and booming economy established it as the world's dominant power. The Soviet Union, following the Russian Revolution, 1917, emerged as a communist superpower. During the Cold War, 1947 to 1991, it actively opposed Western imperialism, supporting independence movements in former British colonies, such as India and Africa. The Suez Crisis was a turning point, when Egypt's leader, Gamal Abdel Nasser, nationalized the Suez Canal. Britain, along with France and Israel, attempted to retake control. However, the United States and the Soviet Union forced Britain to back down, proving that Britain was no longer the dominant global power. With Britain weakened, the empire's collapse accelerated. While economic struggles and rising superpowers weakened Britain, the true force that dismantled the British Empire came from within, its own colonies. Nationalist movements across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East fought back against British rule, demanding independence. The most significant independence movement came from India, the jewel in the crown of the British Empire. Led by Mahatma Gandhi and the Indian National Congress, the Indian independence movement used nonviolent resistance, mass protests, and civil disobedience to pressure Britain. After World War II, Britain was too weak to maintain control, and in 1947, India gained independence. This marked the beginning of the empire's unraveling. Inspired by India, African nations demanded freedom. Countries like Ghana, 1957, Kenya, 1963, and Nigeria, 1960, fought for and gained independence. The Mau Mau Uprising, 1952 to 1960, in Kenya, was a brutal conflict that highlighted Britain's struggles to hold on to its colonies. The empire's presence in the Middle East weakened after Egypt, 1952, expelled British influence. Meanwhile, Malaysia, 1957, and Singapore, 1965, also gained independence, signaling Britain's retreat from Asia. By the 1970s, most of the empire had dissolved. Nationalist movements had succeeded where armies could not, by forcing Britain to let go of its colonies. Even before decolonization, Britain's economy was struggling. The cost of maintaining a vast empire became unsustainable, especially after World War II, 1939 to 1945, left Britain financially crippled. During the war, Britain had borrowed heavily from the United States to finance its military efforts. By 1945, it was deeply in debt and dependent on American aid, including the Marshall Plan. The cost of rebuilding Britain itself meant that it could no longer afford to maintain its colonies. Britain had once been the world's industrial leader, but after the war, it struggled to compete with rising economic powers like the US, Germany, and Japan. Many former colonies, now independent nations, shifted their trade to other global markets, further weakening Britain's economy. With the empire gone, Britain sought to maintain diplomatic and economic ties with former colonies through the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose organization of independent countries with historical ties to Britain. By the 1970s, Britain was no longer an empire, but a European power adapting to a new world order. Its role had shifted from ruling territories to participating in global diplomacy and trade. So who really defeated the British Empire? The answer isn't just one nation or one empire. It was a combination of global powers, economic realities, and the people who fought back. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more history deep dives.